Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm noting quite a few familiar faces. Those of you that are my colleague, my brother Mahesh, is the head of the ports regulator, very important stakeholder. We co-govern together. I didn't see anyone from TNPA yet, but I'm told they're coming. And our shareholder, Mr. Madia, is the shareholders rep that's here. Entities by sector. So some people from the shipping industry with the association, strong supporter, Mr. Besnat, people from the legal fraternity, my good brother there. I have just given him another task because he's delivered a very good book, Mr. Andrew Pike. So people that we work with, a very important stakeholder from a key objective on the SAMSA Act, which is the protection of the safety of life at sea. Our sea rescue and NSRI colleagues, thank you very much for coming. I saw some Green Road people, and I did want to MSC. Another key stakeholders that we have, and I'll explain the context just now. The bunkering operators, I see my colleagues from the day. Welcome, thank you so much. I noticed that I've even got the people from the presidency here today, and I won't tell you who is there from the presidency. Lest we get to be asked questions about load shedding. And my fellow EXCO team, and we've got very good associates here. My sister over there, she used to be my colleague, but she's checking up on me. She gave me a task that I'm yet to deliver on. I won't tell you what task it is, except that I still need to find something for her. So I will not say what that is. Ladies and gentlemen, on a serious note, we really thank you for coming here. It is always a good thing when you ask for people to come, and they come. We consider ourselves the glue that holds the industry together, because on the one side sits government that we need to appeal to, so that ultimately when you consider the issues coming from the other side, that is the industry, we are able to make sense of this thing that is common and most important to us all. That is the maritime sector. And so for me, it is a relationship that SAMSA can never stop looking after, because it is at the core of the development of our maritime sector. We had intended, we have a briefing session for industry, and we normally had it on the eve of the State of the Nation address in Cape Town. And the reason we did that, we thought that it is important for us to give feedback to industry on various items, issues that we continuously speak about for the course of the year. But then we had a view as SAMSA that we needed another event to address those of our stakeholders that are in Durban. And we chose the end of the year. And going forward, I'm advised that we perhaps might just need something for the people that are neither in Durban nor in Cape Town, and hopefully somewhere around Port Elizabeth, but we will come to that. The feedback is as follows, ladies and gentlemen. I've just come out of London, where South Africa has been elected once more as a member of the International Maritime Organization, IMO Council. Now the representing department, there is the Department of Transport. SAMSA is a technical advisor. We generally take along Transnet National Ports Authority, and there is space that is there for the ports regulator. Now, the reason IMO is important, it is where the rule setting happens. I'm talking to the industry, and you colleagues know that. The issues at the IMO, we do know that we've got this low sulfur fuel thing that's coming. It is still the 1st of January. It is going to happen. We had a workshop around July, and we identified a few issues, and one of those issues was that we need to have legislation. I can confirm that come 1st of January, we will not have legislation to apply the regulation. We have put our systems in place so that we are effectively able to monitor shipping compliance, and we still are finalizing how shall we ensure that compliance takes place. We had another discussion on the scrubbers. Do you allow the use of scrubbers or not? And after a long discussion lasting over many weeks and months, we came to a conclusion that we now need a very educated research, and we consulted with the University of Cape Town. They're going to give us the result. IMO in the meantime has ruled that it is okay to use scrubbers, and so we are going to use scrubbers until we get advised differently. The key issue there is that you're introducing sulfur in the water. Now, those of you that are following the climate change discussion, you throw carbon dioxide in the air, but there's utility for carbon dioxide. And that utility is the plants, because the process of photosynthesis uses that carbon dioxide. What we are not sure, and I'm not a chemist, is that what is this utility for sulfur, particularly if it's in the water. And scientists, we had 27 scientists from Japan and 15 from Singapore and elsewhere. They all could not agree what the issue is. But we're working on the on the guide that we have, and that guide is that the amount of water you throw back onto the sea is very insignificant to cause any big upset as matters stand now. So we're going to follow and allow for that until we're advised differently. You can start clapping. The most important issue, though, that IMO is not going to open up, which is what I'd ask the country to look at, is the competitiveness of our commodities. You would recall that during the workshop that we had, we said that we accept that it is a newly refined product that you're using. Indications are that you're going to be paying approximately an additional $200 per ton. Now, the coal from Richards Bay is going to pay for that $200 to take it to China. And you're competing in China against coal from Southeast Asia. I'm told Malaysia has even overtaken Australia now in importing into China. But they all are 5-7 days away from China, 20 days or thereabout. Now that contribution that is in excess of your bunkering costs is going to have to be carried by the commodity. Now, what IMO won't tell you is that how does that affect our economy? And this is the discussion that I had hoped would bring in front of the country. And for that reason, I invited the people from the presidency to say, do understand that there are very deep-lying issues to our trade. I'm not talking about what it is going to cost us to import our vehicles or whatever else, all in the name of climate change. And so this issue has to be addressed. The IMO STCW, we're well on track. We are going to be ready come February, March next year, so there's no need to worry there. There's an issue then, so those were the issues that we spoke about at IMO, and it being an assembly, it was a session to endorse all the decisions that we've been taking throughout the year. And then from a domestic perspective, there was Operation Pakisa. It has not been called off. We're busy reviewing how shall we contract going forward for all the initiatives that we had said we must undertake. Now, in regards to the growth of the ship register, we have very strong headwinds, and those headwinds arise in terms of the tax that the SARS want to charge those that operate. It started off in international shipping, and it's a very complex discussion as they raise it. But essentially, the issue is that those companies that register ships should pay tax, and it's the importation, it's the VAT actually, it's the import VAT. And there's a big argument, I don't want a lecture here now. But the principle that you had started with is a principle that says in order for South Africa to compete the same like any other competitive register, we need the same sets and conditions. Now, once you start introducing tax, even in the name of VAT, it is going to throw South Africa's competitiveness in terms of attraction of ships that must go into the register. So we've had discussion with SARS, escalated the matter to the commissioner, couldn't get resolution, got the minister involved, still no resolution. Now, what SARS has started doing, and they are a fellow government agent, so I can't speak ill of SARS. We understand exactly what they're trying to do, and that's to collect revenue. But when you collect revenue, you don't need to create a bigger problem that you can't solve in the immediate. And so we have now an issue with domestic shipping, and any domestic company that time charters a ship in. And there's a big discussion there. And we need an urgent resolution. So I have said we are going to have to find a very, very big intervention. We received a letter, Deputy Minister, when we were in London, got a letter from Home Affairs, and this is the issue of the stowaways, again raised by industry. We were supposed to have a meeting end of last week, got postponed to today, got postponed to later on in the week. So we are going to resolve those issues that relate to the issue of stowaways. It's an issue that I think we can quickly resolve. Now, that's enough about feedback, and that's the reason that we had called you our stakeholders. The issues that I need for us to talk about is the preparation, particularly the risk management. We had a workshop beginning of the year in March, looking at the maritime risk. And Andrew I spoke about earlier, he wrote a very good book about sinking of one ship off Coffee Bay. That book, when you read it, gives us a very good picture of what this thing looks like when it is done properly. You know, the whole issue of how do you save lives, the whole issue of how are you prepared to do that, the whole issue of how do you communicate. And we're in the middle of a project that implements that. It requires a biggish investment, whether it is your salvage tug, which has been costed out. We need to find out exactly how do we pay for it. There is a very big need for aerial capability, availability of helicopters. Vernon was talking about the whole need for drones because we are in that era now. So I quantified all this amount of money that we require. It does look like we need anything between 5 and 8 billion rand, so that you bring the government capacity to where it used to be. And we need to find out where this money is going to come from. Now, that is the one part. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I come off this podium, what we then did, what we had done towards the end of the year, last year, in anticipation for the new administration coming in, we were required to put together our strategy. We did so. In so doing, we were guided by two things. The National Development Plan is the Vision 2030 for the country. We took that. The Comprehensive Maritime Transport Policy has an objective for South Africa, and that is to create an international maritime center. So in developing our vision, we took the two and say, you want South Africa to be an international maritime center by 2030. And that is what we're gunning towards. Now we went a step further to say, how shall you determine this international maritime center? Well, we used two measures. On the one measure, you need a model maritime authority. Somebody would want to say world-class. And on the other side, you need a South Africa with a vibrant maritime economy. So if you take that step, one step down, what is this model maritime authority? It is the one that is prepared in the manner that I was describing earlier. It is the one that is adequately prepared for emergencies. It is the one that's adequately resourced for any eventuality that we can see. It is the one that is able to show its world influence. And so what does that authority need to do in order to be able to do that? Well, we need internal systems that allow us to do the things that we need to do. And so we've got a huge project running internally, and that is a repositioning project. And I'm hoping that at the end of the first 5 years of the 10-year period, you will at least end up with a digitized SAMSA that is able to jump onto this. My board doesn't want it when I call it fourth industrial revolution. I don't know what that means actually. But it is an authority that is going to be able to use best practice systems. And so we are building all those blocks. It is an authority that's going to be properly funded. That's why we're going to be coming back to the industry to be saying to you, here is a bill that we need to satisfy all of us. How do we find the money to do that, given all these budget constraints that the government is sitting with? So that is the model maritime authority. The most important thing is that you need a vibrant economy so that we can derive more and better tax, more employment, etc. And that is the discussion that I want us, as we live today, to continue engaging on. For SAMSA, we've managed to establish a bunkering station offshore Port Elizabeth. And I think they're doing well. We're still sitting with headwinds. We still need to find the balance with the environmentalists and all such challenges. It is my hope that we are going to win that step by step. But in regards to the balance of the projects, we have one that's called Maritime Youth Development Project in partnership with MSC. They have employed quite a few, I think upwards of 200 now. We take matrix, they provide employment, we do the recruitment and training, and we've got an MOU to that. We have various partnerships now with the employers of seafarers. And what we had said we would do, everyone that wants us to have that engagement, we need to enter into an MOU. We have one with Bukamarine, one with Clubness, one with Sispan, and we're starting to have a whole lot of companies that are going to make sure that we get into the space of training and providing seafarers. Most importantly, we've got a booming Mozambique next to us that is hungry for these skills that we're producing. I have a very good friend there. He is the DG, they call him, of Inama. We've got a deal that we signed that we will supply their the skills to their offshore operations. They will allow South African certificates to be used in Mozambican waters. That gives us an opportunity. They need Southern African entities to operate in their waters. We need the ability to build that. So there is a huge opportunity that we need to talk about. And I think as we're starting to distill these opportunities, it is becoming apparent what are these things that we need to do as a South Africa, as a SAMSA, as government, as industry. And it is my hope that as the glue that holds it, we are going to live up to that task. But in your various capacities as stakeholders in this sector, that you're going to play your part. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.